Hello, hello. Welcome. I'm not sure if you guys can hear me fine. If you can, give me a thumbs up. Let me see. Elizabeth, can you join us in Discord? Okay. Are we? It is. Is she there still? She has a message, but when did she set that message? I don't know. Okay, well, here we are, guys. Hey, Sadie, you can hear us? Thank you so much. It's good to know that you guys can hear us out there. By the way, Sadie, where are you from? So today we have our OC members. We have a couple of them here so far. We have Teresa and we have Jim, and I'm gonna let them say hello to you guys right now.
Hi.
Good day, everyone.
Sadie is from Ohio, so we're gonna do a little sort of get to know Teresa and Jim. We're going to start off with Teresa. Teresa is from Ontario like myself, but I'll let you sort of let her give you a little bit of a sort of introduction to her experience or experiences. Whichever you want to tell them, Teresa.
Sure.
You can go ahead and start.
Okay. All right. So I live in Midland, originally in Toronto. So my personal experience happened quite a few years ago. I got married in 2001, and we had spent our honeymoon in the Quinte area, that's Eastern Ontario. And we used to love to go camping in Adolphus Town, the campground that's near Picton, Ontario. So since then, we had always gone back every summer. We would start the camping season. I think it was like as soon as the grounds would open, like the first month in May, and then we would be like the last ones to leave. We had a tent. We didn't have like an actual camper. So anyway, one of the years, I can't exactly remember what year, but we used to drive over from Toronto to Adolphus Town on a Friday night, and we would stay the weekend and go back. And so this one weekend, we ended up coming to Adolphus Town. I think it was still early in the season because it was kind of cold. Anyway, we came in, we set up our tent, and then we went over to where our friend John and Bambi had their trailer, and we would go there, and she made Bambi made something to eat, etc. So we stayed, and then later we ended up going back to our tent, obviously to sleep. So we got ourselves comfortable, got ourselves warm, and at this time we had our German Shepherd and our Rottweiler, okay, big dogs, and they were only friendly to certain people. So they're in the tent with us, okay. And my husband snores. So, of course, he falls asleep just like that. I don't. So I'm laying there and I've got the dogs on one side of me. They were closer to the tent door, the zipper part. My husband was up against the back end. And so I had the dogs beside me. So I'm lying there, and not that long afterwards, I heard some footsteps. And I just assumed it must have been John, who was our friend. And I thought, okay, my husband forgot his cigarettes or something like that. So I kind of waited a few minutes, and then I sort of got up. But the funny thing was that the dogs, both Slam and Maddie, our Roddy and our Shepherd, they started whimpering. And whimpering like as in they are afraid. And I thought that was very unusual for them. But, be that as it may, they're like trying to hide behind me. And I see this thing. I had a flashlight at the top of my head, and I took the flashlight and I thought, okay, it must be my friend John coming, whatever. So I kind of shone the light towards the tent, and I'm going to go and open the zipper part, but I see this, what looked like brown fur up against the tent. door. And again, the dogs are whimpering and they're hiding behind me. And at this point in time, they're now on top of my husband who's waking up. And I'm thinking, okay, what is this thing? So I take like I'm laying down, but I'm sort of sitting up. I take my legs and I kind of just push at this thing at the tent, the zipper, and it's not really budging, but it eventually moved on its own. It's not because I could kick it out of the way. I thought, what is that? Like a beaver or something? And again, I haven't seen it yet. And my husband gets up and he's like asking me, what's going on? And I said, I don't know. I said, maybe, I don't know. I think it may be John, whatever. So he leans over, and now the dogs are like completely behind him. He leans over, he unzips the tent, and we both have our flashlight. And I'm looking at this face that looked like a gorilla, and it had a smile on its face. And my husband looks at me, and I look at him. We started laughing because we assumed it was our friend John with a mask, right? So my husband yells out, he goes, "Oh, yeah, that's really funny, John." And the way this thing moved its head, I realized it wasn't John in a mask because there was an eye shine, like an animal eye shine to it. And by the time my husband was getting up to put on his boots, I looked to the side, and as I took my flashlight, I could see this thing it moved so fast. Like, I mean, like there's no human could move that fast. And it skirted off to the left of the tent. And I thought, wow, what was that? Like, what the hell was that? So we came out of the tent, and the dogs, of course, came out with us, and they're whimpering, but now they're barking. And John, well, my husband stood there and he thought it was John. So he's like calling out John's name, but this thing ran away. And as you could hear it moving away, it wasn't so much you could hear it as much as you could hear the dogs in the rest of the campground barking. Okay. Now, where the tents were, there was nobody but me and my husband. It was still kind of early in the season. So we thought, okay, we could see a few lights of campers going, putting on their lights. And we started walking towards our friend John and Bambi's camper, and it's all dark. Anyway, we still were under the impression that it must have been John. And as we knocked on his door and he opens the door, you could tell he had just woken up. He was completely, like, what are you guys doing here? Type of thing, look on his face. And we said, you didn't just come like down the path over to where our tent was. He's like, no, I just woke up. He goes, why? What's going on? And like I said, you could hear dogs in the distance barking and a few lights of trailers opening up. We went inside and we sort of, we stayed more or less the whole night until, the morning when Bambi made us breakfast. We assumed that there must have been like a visiting zoo or a circus or something in Picton, and maybe a gorilla or an ape-like thing just escaped or something like that. Because quite honestly, I've never seen anything like that. And, did I think it was a Bigfoot? No, I did not, because I always thought Bigfoot existed just in BC and as a Yeti in the Himalayas, okay? So to think that Bigfoot existed in Ontario back in like 2001, no, not at all. But it wasn't until I started listening to other podcasts and then I realized I think we both saw a juvenile Bigfoot. And the funny thing was when it looked at us, it grinned and it had these big chiclet teeth, right? Which that's what made us laugh. It's like, well, like, ha ha ha, you're very funny, John, right? But it's not until, like I said, when I started watching other podcasts and then it kind of dawned on me, I think that's what that was. And like I said, I only thought it existed in BC and in the Himalayas. But as I found out later, there is actually Eastern Ontario Bigfoot Society, But that's not until like the last couple of years or so that I've seen this. But apparently it's quite well known to be out in Eastern Ontario. So that was my experience. And then, of course, there was, some other experiences with camping, but that was the most profound one for me. And that's that. That's my story.
Thank you, Teresa, for sharing with everybody. And while you were sharing your story, Figgy joined us from. Figgy didn't say where he was from. Raptor Duck joined us from Baltimore, Maryland, and Tarek Reed joined us from Philly. So yeah,
Okay.
so welcome, guys. So what we're doing right now is I'm just introducing the OC members, and they're walking through their experiences. And not everyone has had an experience, but it just so happens that both Jim and Teresa had. So we just heard Teresa's experience. Now we're going to get a chance to listen to Jim. So go ahead, Jim.
I'm Australian. I live in currently just out of Grafton in the Clarence Valley of northern New South Wales, Australia. This was years ago. I'd moved from Coffs Harbour on the coast up to the New England area to a town called Armidale and moved in with a couple of uni students. And one was he was studying to become a National Parks officer and was also in the Army Reserve, and he was right into bush tucker and surviving out in the bush with nothing. So he told us over and over. One time, you've got to try rabbit, and of course I'd never tried it. And rabbits are an introduced animal to Australia, like we have a lot of introduced. Well, they're considered a feral pest. But yeah, so he had a couple of guns, and I'm not a hunter, but I went out. We went right out of town. We went out bush, and pulled up on the side of the road and walked down into this gully that had a little stream running, freshwater stream running through it. And for some reason, I'd got ahead of everybody else, not by much, but I was walking like 10 meters, stopping, looking ahead, and going again. And I'd just come around a clump of bushes on the creek and heard a noise behind me, turned around, and there was a yowie standing right like 5 meters away from me. But my first, shock, seconds went by. I thought, what am I looking at? Is this an orangutan? And then when I seen its face, well, I knew it wasn't. And as this has happened, my friends have come into view. It's looked at them and just dropped down on all fours and did an ape charge up and around the hill and disappeared. And my mate Tony come running, who'd organised the trip, and he went after it. Took me a little while to get out of shock and think, wow, I should go too. And I tried to run after it as well, but by then it was just gone out of, fast as the wind, gone. But it was covered in, it was auburn red hair, 6 to 8 inches long, coming down off the top of its head, down its back, down off its arms. It would have been about probably 5'6" or 7", something like that. But it was hunched over. I imagine if it stood up, it might be 6 foot. Human-like face, like the typical thing people describe: the heavy brow ridge, the deep set eyes, black to shiny grey sort of skin. It had hair all around its face, but its upper lip area, and that was bare of hair. It just blew my mind. Prior to that, I wasn't even skeptical. Like I just always just thought, I'd heard stories even from Aboriginal people saying, "Oh, don't stay out too late, or the hairy man will get you." And as a kid, I always thought, well, it's just a boogeyman story to make sure you get home before dark. But definitely blew my mind and changed my whole idea of, Sasquatch yowies. So in Australia, we have two apparently. We have the little Junjuddy or tree jack, and then the bigger yowie.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, so as you can tell, our first topic we're going to be chit-chatting about is going to be Sasquatch. And so I don't know about you guys, but every time I'm, uploading a short or, telling someone's encounter, there are
Mm-hmm.
lots of people out there who are doubters and they have nothing but negativity to portray to everybody. But one of the things that strikes me as the most refutable um, clips of all time is the Patty film. Uh,
Yeah.
and and to this
Yeah.
day, this Patty film, people still say it's a dude in a suit. Well,
It's not.
I know, I'm gonna play it right now for you guys, just so we can all take a look. And this was
Mhm.
stabilized by MK Davis. So let me just change my scene here to see that you guys can see what I'm seeing. And no, you're not seeing what I'm seeing. Aren't you seeing that? Scene 3. I knew this wasn't going to go right. Windows. See, there's always something that's not. Okay, here. Can I just go? Hold on one second as I fix this. Nope, I'm not fixing it very well at the moment.
It's
One
that little
second.
short clip, right?
It's the
Yeah.
short clip that has the stabilization. I'm sure you guys have seen it before, but just give me a second. And okay, let me just add. See, what do I want to show again? I just want to show my screen. Show. Sure. Okay, there we go. All right, you guys can see it now.
Mhm.
Um, there. Okay, so I'm gonna make this big, and I'm gonna hit the play. Now you probably I'm gonna just take the audio out because it's probably gonna do a whole lot of interference. But this film to me is, I mean, there is no way. So I'm gonna play. There's no way you can tell me that is a dude in a suit.
No, I don't think so.
I mean, if you look at the
Definitely not.
if you look at the film itself, I'm gonna play one more time. If you look at the film, you can see the muscle movement underneath the hair.
And look at the legs, the muscles in the legs as well, right?
Yeah, I mean the calf, the legs, the
Yeah.
whole thing. And Teresa, if you were going to fake this, would you make it a female instead of making it a male?
No, exactly. See, this is the thing that really got me was when they finally really dissected this film, and then when they found out that it's a female, right? You got to remember, back in the 60s, this was a very male dominated arena, like Bigfoot and guys going out there filming or whatever, right, at that time. So why would, if anyone's going to fake a Bigfoot, wouldn't it be a male rather than a female? I mean, clearly it's a female. So to me, that alone makes it real to me. Besides, I mean, like you look at her legs and the way she's walking away, um, without being, I would say fearful, but without running. Now, was it you, Jim, who told us a little bit about that story, the background of why she was running away? Something to do with being injured?
I told you guys that
No, I
story.
think, yeah, that was Van. Yeah.
Oh, okay, Van.
Yeah,
Okay, Vanka.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, the story the backstory that I heard, the reason she was running was she witnessed her family being slaughtered, and apparently she was shot in the leg. Now that is what is going around.
Hmm.
How true that is, I don't know. I wasn't there, but even MK Davis, when he was doing his analysis, he pointed out that it looked like she had a wound on, I think it's her right leg, and
Mm.
so he's got videos proving that.
Maybe that's why she wasn't running, but like walking faster and constantly looking over her shoulder.
Exactly, exactly. Yes, Linda, it's true. This is the first thing that made me believe as well that, they're out there, they're real. But like Teresa stated, I only thought they lived out in, the western states and provinces. I didn't think they were out in Ontario. You know what I mean?
No, no,
But
not at all.
but apparently we have the perfect ecosystem for them, right?
We
So
do.
they
We
thrive
do.
up here. So
Do you want me to tell them about? Sorry,
go
Vanka.
ahead. No, go for it.
No. Do you want me to tell them about my bus driver
Yes,
buddy
yes,
who saw?
definitely tell them about the bus
Okay.
driver.
Okay, so this is this year, okay. Um, we sort of experienced a bit of warmth in June and a little bit of cold in June before the summer kind of took off, right? Anyway, there was an episode where I'm a school bus driver, and one of my buddies, his normal route, he had to reroute. I don't know whether it was because of a downed tree or something, whether there was a storm or whatever. So he ended up taking this other route. And as he was going down the road, he saw something coming, onto the road out of the corner of his eye. And this being stopped, faced the school bus. And so my friend stopped the bus, and the kids up at the front, including the EA, which is the educating assistant, sometimes we have those if there's a child who has issues. Anyway, they were close to the front of the windshield. And the bus driver's sitting there, and the EA turns to the bus driver and goes, "What is that?" And he goes, "I don't know, but I think I know what it is." And then one of the kids says, "What is that? It looks like a monster." And of course, some of them started to whimper, and he had to sort of kind of quiet them down. He said, "No, no, no, it's okay. It's nothing really." And the EA goes, "I think I know what it is." And he said that this thing stopped, and it seemed like, forever. It just sort of stopped, it paused, it looked at him, and he thought for a minute it might have been a man in a ghillies outfit, right? But then he's thinking, wait a second, it's June. It's like, it's really warm out. And he goes, why would anyone put one of those on? And that's when he realized, I don't think that's a ghillies outfit. He goes, I think that is a Bigfoot. And the fact that it was 9 feet tall. I mean, if you think about how tall a bus is and the hood of a bus, right? He said this thing towered over it, and it was only 10 feet away. So everybody just sort of, time stood still, and they kind of looked at this. The being stopped staring at them and then took off so fast. And he said he ran down the embankment. It's kind of a steep embankment on that part of the road. And he said, and it started moving on all fours and grabbing branches, whatever, and just skidded right up to the top of the hill there. And as he was passing by on the bus, he's just like looking at it, and he goes, there is no way a human being could have done that fast. Okay. So anyway, so he told me the story because he knew I was interested in Bigfoot, and I thought it was pretty remarkable. And then, strangely enough, as he's telling me the story, another friend, another bus driver pops up, and he said, what are you guys talking about? And I just kind of looked at him. I went, Bigfoot. And he goes, oh, yeah. He goes, did you know they're up at concession 17? Then he starts telling me about his uncle's fish farm. Like he's got a fish pond, and he populates it, and then, he releases it into the lake, right? Whatever. And this one morning, he says his uncle went out, and he saw something like a tree down in the pond, and then he sees all these dead fish with their heads sort of chewed off and thrown about, and pieces of the fish taken a bite of and thrown off. And he thought, what ignoramus is doing this, right? So that kind of happened that one time. And then one morning he went out early in the morning, and he said he sees this thing moving away. So he thought it might have been the guy who was doing this to the fish, trying to steal the fish or whatever. He goes, "Hey, buddy." And the thing turns around and looks at him and he goes, "Oh, yeah, okay." And just sort of let him go, right? And then he turned around and he said, "Well, I think I'll just go back for another cup of coffee."
Oh my
But
God.
he said, that these things exist there. Now, I also had an experience with my school bus kids. I didn't see it, but the kids did on my bus. And again, around concession 17, 18 in Tiny Township. One of my children, he's autistic, and he kept repeating over and over. He said, "Did you see the tall man? Did you see the tall man? Did you see the tall monkey man? Did you see the tall monkey man?" And he kept repeating it, trying to get his brother's attention to look out the window as he was. And of course, his brother was ignoring him. So I just said to his brother, "Would you just listen to your brother?" Right? Anyway, as we're sort of passing this sort of space in between the trees, one of the kids at the back yells my name and says, "Hey, Teresa." He goes, "Did you see the tall monkey?" And I go, "What are you talking about?" And then it hit me. It occurred to me. I went, "Oh my God, Bigfoot." Right? And I said, "No." So, of course, then that was a whole topic of conversation. So every time I came to each stop, all the kids would relay the entire story over and over. So it was like a big thing at the end of my run. Anyway, so that again was another experience that I sort of had sort of vicariously through the kids. But yeah, I was surprised that Bigfoot does exist in Ontario, and apparently it's not that far from where I live, which doesn't make me feel good. But to each their own. Whatever. It doesn't do anything to us, and we're not there to harm it. So live and let live, right? That's how I look at it.
Yeah, so Teresa's about what are you, an hour and 30 minutes north of me? About that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. 2
So,
hours if traffic's bad.
yeah, so it doesn't take a lot to get up and out of the city. Actually, you can drive for 45 minutes and totally be out of the city and be
Yeah.
amongst, a lot of forest, etc. But yeah, it's crazy to think that they are here.
Hmm.
But they are. So yeah. So I'm in Toronto, by the way, in case you guys are wondering.
And
Uh,
I live in Midland.
yeah, which is, like I said, about an hour and
More.
30 minutes north of myself. Um, now I noticed a lot of you guys were welcoming everybody. Elizabeth is actually not online right now. I'm not sure if she's going to be joining us today, but I prepped to have her here, so that's why you see her little icon up there. But here we are. So now, with respects to these Sasquatches, there's a lot of different things that gets connected to them. A lot of the things that you hear about would be tree structures and stuff like that. Jim placed this in the members chat. So before I go any further, the channel offers a membership program, and for $2.99, if you join, you get a whole bunch of stuff. Like, we meet every Monday. If we can, if we can't, we let each other know. But we meet on Mondays in Discord, where we chat we get online and we chat, and then next thing we know, it's late.
We chat for hours
We
because,
just
oh my
Yeah.
chat.
God, it's a lot of fun. I look forward to it every Monday. Like, honest to God, I quickly finish dinner and then it's like, okay, let's get on, right? And then it's like 11 o'clock and it's like, okay, gotta go to
I gotta
bed.
go to
Bye.
work.
Yeah,
Yeah,
gotta go.
but
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the thing too is Jim is in Australia, so he's a full day ahead of us. So our 8
I
p.m.
know.
is his, what is it? Your 11 o'clock the next
Yeah,
day?
10 a.m. in the morning. 10 a.m. in the morning for me the next day.
Yeah, so for that price, we get to chat. You get early previews to videos I put up, and I even put up which I'm going to start doing, but I have to dig them out. I used to do a lot of hikes in the past,
Yeah.
which I want to pick back up and do again. And so I put together a hiking video that I did, and I had a little cute comment that I said to them, look for any tree structures or anything in the background. So yeah, so I put that together, but that's private for the members. I might release it later on, but I'll have to wait and see. But yeah, so
You have to come up here. Sorry, Vanka,
that's
but you
okay.
have to come up here. We've got to go on a hike. We
We
got to go
do.
squatching. Okay,
For sure, definitely. But yeah, so that's so speaking of the tree structures, let me show you the picture that Jim posted in the members. Let me see, where are you? Right here. So I'm going to go ahead and switch back to scene number 1. And why don't you see it? What is going on here?
Technical difficulties.
I don't understand why this thing isn't picking this up. This is really getting me. Okay, let's see. Properties. I want to pick, no, photo. Okay, come on. I know you guys are seeing a blank screen right now. Just give me 1 second. Trying to figure out why this thing isn't. I haven't
Jim,
used.
you found this clip, right? Where did you find it? Like, was it in BC? Like, is this where this thing was
I'm not
found?
exactly sure. Steve Isdale from How to Hunt put it up, and I just screenshotted it.
Okay.
So
How
it
do I
could
show
be
you
BC
guys?
or
So what it is, what the image is of, oh, I know what I can do. Oh no, but that's what I did do, didn't I? I took a picture of it. What it is, yeah, the Steve, what's Steve's last name again? Dow? Gadal?
Isdale.
Right.
Isdale, yeah.
He has his YouTube channel called The Facts of How to Hunt. And he
Yeah.
posted this picture of a tree, a full-size tree, which is stuck upside down into the ground. I don't mean like a branch, right? A sapling. I mean a massive tree.
Roots exposed, right?
Yeah, the roots are sticking up in the air. I'm still trying to see if I can show this to you guys. I don't know why my displays aren't, it just keeps on showing this. Okay, you want to show that, do you? Can you guys see it now? No, you're still not seeing it. Oh my God. Okay, I feel so ill prepared for this because if you can't see that one, you're not going to see the other one either. Yeah, you're just seeing this dumb screen here. How can I show you? If I were to move this picture here, if I move it up there, oh no, but that's not, yeah, I don't know. I'm at a loss right now why I can't show you guys the picture. All I want to do is share my screen and it's showing something totally different. Let me try one more thing, guys. Bear with me.
Okay. Sure.
Window full, no. Let's see. Go to properties and let's take. Okay, hold on. See somebody type something in chat for me. Look, you are in analytics. Go to stream. I'm in analytics. Where did you guys disappear to? There you are. Okay, you guys are right there. Just give me 1 second while I see. I need to add. It's not scene. It's not media source. It's not image. It's display capture. Isn't that what it is? Display capture? There we go. Okay, finally. Okay,
All right. Good.
so now let me bring up the picture for you guys. Hold on. Boom. There we go. Okay, I got it now. I got it. It's all under control.
It's a good one, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you guys see that? Now, I can't see you guys because I'm looking at the screen in full view, but look at this tree here that's upside down. Check that out. Like, what could
Crazy.
possibly do that? Hey, Jim,
Yeah.
like, what were your first thoughts when you saw this picture?
I listened to. You remember the Dave Pilates put up the Bigfoot cruise and he interviewed Rob Alley. He spoke of them on Prince Edward Island,
Mm-hmm.
and then I seen that and I thought, well, screenshot that and share it. So he was saying, yeah, that they in the past Sasquatch used to use them as like markers.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess a lot like the X's you would see or the arches. One thing I see a lot here in Ontario are the arches. We see X's as well, and I do tend to see tree breaks. And I remember in that same place that you guys saw that one video from. Meanwhile, that's a different it's a different trail. But on one of my favorite trails, which is the Tobermory one that goes it goes north and then you can take a little loop. That one there, you can see tree breaks that are good 10 to 12 feet up in the air. And the trees, they're not mature trees, but the trees that have the tree breaks, I would say it's probably, what is that, 8 to 10 inches around, right?
Yeah.
In diameter. And it's just like a clean break at the top. Like the only thing that can do that, as I just displayed, are two hands. There's no other way to do that. That's not Snowload or Snowload is normally when you see a tree that is arched,
The whole
right?
tree. Yeah, the whole tree falls though.
Yeah, the whole tree is arched. But the thing with that is when the snow defrosts, the tree is going to spring back up again. So it's you can tell snow load from anything else. And most trees that I see that have the arc, it's actually held down by something, which means again, a hand has to come and put something on top of it or pin it somehow, right? And then it just ends up growing like that. And I remember this one trail I like to take, it used to have a ton of them. I'm not kidding, a ton. And then a couple of years later, we took that same trail and they were all gone. It's like the people that take care of because it's a conservation area. It's like the folks who maintain it chopped it all down or something. It was so weird.
They probably do that just so that it's clear for people to hike through rather than it being blocked, right? But when you think about it, of course they would block it because they don't want humans going to where they are, right? It would make sense.
Yeah. Biggie says
over here.
Go ahead, Jim.
Over here, Dean Harrison and the Yowie Hunters crew go out bush and look for yowies, of course. But yeah, they've shown a lot of broken sticks, X markers on the ground, and then broken off sticks pushed into the ground as markers. So that could possibly be something yowies do over here.
You know who tends to see that a lot is I watch a fella by the name of Timber Giant Bigfoot, who's also in Ontario, Canada. And he finds a lot of stick configuration on the ground sometimes. Like sometimes it looks like they've made a square out of little sticks. Or it's a triangle or it's an X, like really bizarre stuff. And I remember I used to watch this fella in Colorado. What is his name? Something Sasquatch. Anyways, he used to find stuff hanging from trees, like sticks, but they would be like dangling, like as if they're like
propped up, like
they're
on purpose.
right, like they're teetering on balancing on a branch and stuff like that, which I found was so bizarre. Like, who would do that, right? And why wouldn't it be knocked over? But
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, so I don't know what those mean. I don't know what your opinions are, Teresa, of seeing X's or stuff like that.
Well, up here the bush is so thick. I know that one night when you, me, and Jim were looking through, and I said, like, just expand that picture, right? And you're expanding. You can't even see through these trees, okay? So to see anything that's broken like that, you would have to go into the bush like yourself, Banka, go for an actual hike. Because if you're driving through, unless, of course, like what I see when I'm driving my bus, I know there's certain areas where there's a lot of swampland and there's thick brush. Like, I mean, you can physically see into it. And the sun trying to get through it, no. Good luck with that, right? I mean, there's a lot of bush, a lot of trees up here, so it's hard to see the breaks myself. I have seen trees broken, but again, when I look at it, it depends. If it's closer to the road, I can sometimes think, okay, sometimes our weather can affect it, through the snow or whatever. But if you see it in the summertime and it's a definite broken branch, I always think, okay, so did we have a storm or something? But if I saw that in the middle of like the dense bush, I would be more suspectful of Bigfoot doing it as opposed to a storm, kind of ripping and twisting the top off, which, to me would be like, no storm does that, right? Like one or two trees,
Yeah.
No, I doubt that, right? But
Exactly. Like when you see Snowload, you don't see it just on one tree, you see it on multiple, right?
oh yeah, no, and the branches are so low. I know when I drive with my bus, it's like boom, boom, it keeps hitting my bus, right? And in the summer and spring and fall and whatever, like, the tree branches are that much higher, right? So, and they don't break. That's the funny thing, The county does come along and they do have to cut the low-lying branches, but you could see as soon as the snow starts to melt, those same branches just bounce back up, right?
Exactly. Yeah, so I know we wanted to cover a bunch of topics. I'm going to move the topic along to Dogman. We've had, I don't know what it's like, what's been going on recently, but there's been a lot of Dogman stories that have popped up. And another bizarre one was the reptilian one that we've had, but
Yeah.
the couple of I think I told like three Dogman stories and a couple of shorts to do with Dogman.
Yep.
So I don't know what your thoughts are on Dogman, but we're going to start with you, Jim, while I show this picture. Hopefully I can show the picture. Let's
Figure it out technically.
let's make sure I can show it. Yay! Look at that. Okay, so Jim, what are your thoughts on the Dogman cryptids of the world?
The fact that people see them over and over and over again,
Yeah.
has to be something to it. Here in Australia, when we did the excuse me, the live stream with Toby and Angel about Dogman,
Yeah.
I commented, there's really no Dogman sightings in Australia, and Angel messaged back and said, no, there's heaps.
Really?
It seems to be like a recent thing here. If you go back to Indigenous times, like going back, the last, 60,000 years, there doesn't seem to be any record that I've ever heard of Dogman. They always talked about Yowies, but not Dogman. But thinking about that, werewolf stories go a long way back in Europe and things like that. It'd be interesting to know what Indigenous North Americans have to say about it.
Skinwalker or Wendigo up here. So
Yeah.
up in
So is that
Canada.
what they call a dog man?
Well, I don't know if they're the same thing, but yeah. See, it's that's. I would say that a Wendigo and a Skinwalker probably more similar
Yeah, I would say so
than a
too.
Wendigo to a Dogman. I think a Dogman and a werewolf are probably more similar. But somebody made a comment in on one of the videos that the Dogman, one of them has a tail and the other one doesn't. And I can't remember which is which. And I never even thought about that because one's supposed to be a man, right? And
Yeah.
the other one is supposed to be something that's just shift shifting.
Yeah. Well, the
So
dogman is born that way, okay? Like it, so naturally it would have a tail, right? As opposed to a werewolf, which is really man transitioning to wolf, and
mhm,
the whole, the whole story behind it
the
and
lore,
indigenous lore and
yeah.
everything. Where dogman, I don't really hear the stories and indigenous, because we have a lot of indigenous people living in this area,
Hmm.
and you don't really hear a lot of Dogman stories. You hear a lot of the Wendigo, okay, and if there's wolf, then it's usually the clan of wolf. But you hear werewolf, okay, and that's more European. But Dogman, no, I've not heard it here in Ontario. But I know, Vanka, you have a friend that is out in, what is it, Nova Scotia, and it's quite prevalent out there.
Yeah, New Brunswick.
Yeah. See, I think Dogman is genetically engineered. I do. Whereas werewolf, I think, is more of an indigenous lore, and there may be truth to all of this, right? But I think a Dogman is genetically engineered. I really do.
Yeah, so that would be our friend from New Brunswick. I can't find my water. Um,
Is it
Angel.
Angel? Yeah. Yeah. She
Yeah.
has really good pictures of them. Like
Yeah, so
when I saw those, they were amazing. I thought it was like, holy smokes.
it's she has she's had this experience for a long time.
Yeah.
And so the way, like I had her on, so if you guys want to go back and take a look at that stream, that would have been, when did I do that stream? It was sometime last year, I believe I did that. It's with
Mark,
Angel and
Toby.
Toby. Thank you. Angel and Toby.
And
So,
Toby's from Michigan, right?
correct.
Because
Yeah.
Michigan has werewolf, sorry, Dogman and Bigfoot, right?
Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, so that would be Angel, and she's had a ton of experience. At first, she didn't know what was going on, but I had a short. She sent me, or we found it on her channel, on her Facebook page,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
where she's taking a film, or was it Toby that sent it to me? I can't remember. She's taking a film outside of her window, and you can see like a dog's face, right? But
Yeah.
it's kind of bigger
Yeah.
than a
Looking into
dog,
her
and
kitchen. Yeah.
it's looking right at her. And at first she thought, am I looking at something or is that nothing? And it turned
Yeah.
out to be that it was something. Figgy, right? Is it a territorial deal? Are you referring to the sticks and stuff? It could be. Yeah, because I think you wrote that when we were talking about the Bigfoot and the upside down tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be territorial. Who
Yeah.
knows? It could be a marker saying we were here. I don't know, right? Who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah.
That's the thing. The arches, I don't know what the arches could possibly mean. I mean, let's say an X. If you were to see an
Mhm.
X, you would probably think it means don't trespass or don't come in, right?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah.
But what do you picture of when you see an arch? I don't know. Sorry that I'm jumping back, but I'm just reading these comments here. They tell things with symbols. Yeah, probably. but they're
Yeah,
probably
I would think an arch is like, this is where my home is, please do not enter. I don't know. I'm
yeah, I
just
have
saying at the top of my head,
yeah,
you know?
no idea. Linda says there's a lot of states that have Dogman. Yeah, I believe the two stories I did tell were from the States.
Yeah.
Linda also just stated, going back to the arches are supposed to be gateways. Interesting. Kind of like, remember I was telling you guys about that
Uh-huh, uh-huh,
explorer, that not explorer, he was a archaeologist in Egypt that found
uh-huh.
that Stargate type portal. I don't remember
Right.
the
Yeah, and
yeah,
then we started talking about portals. Oh my
yeah.
God, that was another 2 hours
Yeah,
of conversation.
yeah, portals were a huge discussion and could lead you down, you know, an
A rabbit hole.
an endless path of conversation. Um, yeah, so Dogman, I don't know. So Jim, you said you don't have them there. Teresa, what are your thoughts on Dogman?
Well, like I said, I think they do exist, okay? It seems to be prevalent in certain areas like Michigan and you know, it's funny. Okay, so I just thought of this story. I remember when I first moved here and I was kind of getting to know the lay of the land and trying to feel people out, are there any little crystal shops and all this kind of stuff. Anyway, and I met this lady, and she actually was a nurse because an institution. It takes in criminally insane and whatever. Anyway, she said she was a nurse, and one night she was coming home driving, and she went to pick up her son from a friend's place because she had two kids, but her son was staying over at a friend's place anyway. And he came into the car and he was really excited and he kept telling his mom he got chased by a werewolf. Okay. So, of course, she just thought, okay, it's my son. He has some wild imagination or something. And she just sort of let him tell his story. Anyway, he said he was at St. Anne's Cemetery. Him and his friend were on their bike and they were driving through the cemetery, and this thing started chasing them. And when they were pedaling their bikes and they're looking over their shoulder, they're like, oh my God, it looked like a half dog and half a man, and it was on all fours running after them. And so, of course, they're like pedaling like mad through St. Anne's Cemetery, and they got home to to his friend's place, and they're like out of breath, and they're like, oh my God, that was werewolf, right? So they were convinced they saw werewolf, okay. And when they told my friend Rhonda the story, she said werewolf. She goes, "There's no such thing as werewolf, whatever." She says it might have been a big dog running through the cemetery, and they're like, "No, no, it's definitely a werewolf." Now, I don't know how true it is or not, but someone said that there's something in St. Anne's Cemetery. They don't know what it is because I did ask someone else. I said, "Have you heard anything about St. Anne's Cemetery?" And they said, "Well, there's some weird things that go on there." But again, we have a lot of weird things that happen around Midland. I swear this town has got some really weird juju around it. It
Wow.
really does,
It
But
sounds like we need to take
yeah,
a trip to that cemetery there.
I think we should. We should do it late at night too.
Well, it doesn't always have to be late at night. So that's one thing that really bothered me about watching Finding Bigfoot. Every time
Yeah,
they did any sort of investigation, it was always
yeah.
at nighttime.
But they're more nocturnal than they are daylight, right?
Well,
I would think.
a lot of
I don't know.
encounters tend to happen either at dusk or dawn.
Yeah, yeah,
So
exactly.
why do you have to wait till midnight? Yeah, if you're camping or whatever, that's usually when
Yeah,
you get to
yeah,
hear the night ones. But
yeah.
for folks who are traveling to work early morning, their crossings
Oh,
always are like
mm.
5:30 or whatever in the morning, right? So,
And
or
the
Yeah,
one encounter at
I
Pier,
seen
were 7
Oh,
and 8
yeah,
o'clock in the morning.
yeah.
Sorry, what was that, Jim?
Oh, I seen the alley I seen was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but I imagine it was bedded down in those bushes and it heard me come past and got up and ran out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they're there through the day. They're just probably active at night and early morning and late afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, that
I think
was
they kind of know when there's a lot of humans about during the day as opposed to the night or whatever. And certain times of the day, they will not be, like, I mean, like I'm thinking of my bus driving buddy driving down that road and he's probably thinking, okay, I'm not on the busy road. I'm going to be on this road. And oh no, bus. Oh man, now what? Right. Like I'm just thinking like, is this what he's thinking? The Bigfoot, right?
yeah,
And
who
the bus
knows?
driver's like, oh my God, what the hell is that? Right.
Yeah, but they often just carry on. They don't even look. They just
Yeah.
of all the
Yeah.
stories that I've read out to you guys, they don't tend to turn and look at the car. Very seldom do they do that. They just stay and walk and keep on going forward.
Well, this one stopped and was definitely staring at the bus, which I thought was kind of peculiar. Maybe it thought, well, what are you doing on this road? Like nobody goes
Maybe.
down this road,
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah. But Rupert says I've heard of accounts of Dogman, not werewolf, from back to before the Middle Ages. Wow. Okay. That's
oh
interesting.
wow,
Yeah, I guess we'll have to do a little bit more digging into
yeah,
that subject. And then some of the other stuff that we always get a chance to talk about too is orbs and UFOs
totally.
and aliens and stuff. But why don't we let's talk about orbs. What do you
Hmm.
guys, or do you think, and we'll start off with Jim. Jim, do you think orbs and Bigfoot have any correlation at all?
Not sure. Having watched Dave Pilates, the UFO connection,
Hmm?
and hearing other stories, yeah, it's possible. Yeah, it is possible.
What about you, Teresa?
Hmm. I think it's possible, but I don't know. I'm like for me, I associate orbs with the paranormal. Okay. And being a paranormal investigator, I have seen orbs and have had them on film. Do I associate them with Bigfoot? Well, I'm indoors when I'm doing, paranormal investigation in a building.
Hmm.
Um, are they associated with Bigfoot? I don't know. You hear these stories like when I would listen to other podcasts and everything, and I'm kind of like, if I were to say that, if anything, Bigfoot, I think, vibrates on a different energy level. So maybe what we're looking at is something that, what is it? What's that film? Predator, like that shining, because they're able to do something like that. So maybe what we're seeing is light refracted and not clearly an orb, but maybe it's the way they vibrate and to make themselves invisible to us. Do you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like
Yeah,
I think they,
cloaking.
yeah, exactly. Thank you. That's what I was trying to think. Just like the Predator, the movie
Hmm.
Predator. They have a way of being able to cloak, okay? And they can change their vibrational energy. So maybe what we're catching as orbs are them transitioning to that vibratory state.
Hmm.
So I'm not sure about that. But as far as UFOs and Bigfoot, I, you know what? If they happen to be around this area as Bigfoot, yes, but are they related? I have a hard time relating those two together as
So,
being something from another planet. I don't think so.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
orbs and UFO, you don't think are related either. Not sorry, UFOs and Bigfoot, you don't think are related either.
UFO and Bigfoot? No.
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
I'm I'm going to say no. I would say more orbs in the sense because of the energy
Yeah,
and the
that makes sense.
vibratory.
Yeah, orbs and UFO they make more sense than orbs and Bigfoot. But in saying that, and I'm in the same sort of mind wavelength as you guys, whereas I don't know if there's a correlation between Bigfoot and orbs, etc. However, in saying that, a lot of people who do see a Bigfoot will often see a UFO or an orb shortly after.
Yeah.
So, which is odd. Like, why? Like, why are some people seeing them in like, for instance, the Bigfoot would walk away and disappear, and then next thing you know, there's an orb flying out of the forest. Like, what's the correlation between that? Why? And it's not everybody, don't get me wrong. So it's not everyone who sees one, but some folks who do tend to see an orb or a UFO.
Then maybe we have more UFO sightings up here, and I don't see that.
You do have a lot of UFO sightings?
No, I said we would if that were true.
Oh,
There's
okay.
more
Okay.
Bigfoot and not UFO. You
Gotcha.
know what I'm saying? Like, if
Yeah.
that were true, that's why I'm going with UFO. UFOs are their own thing, and
Hmm.
I don't see them being correlated with Bigfoot. I really don't. That's my personal opinion. Like I said, I sooner associate orbs
Right.
with Bigfoot than I do a UFO.
Gotcha. Yeah. Agreed. I agreed. Um, Speaking of UFOs, though, they're Lake Ontario and Lake Erie are supposed to be big hubs for UFOs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they're spotted
They
over
got
there.
some people have seen them up here, Lake Huron as well.
Why are they
I
always
have
over water? A lot of the times they're near like water or going in. People are seeing them going into water.
maybe it's easier for them to hide there because as opposed to sort of hiding in the forest, it would be a little more visible. Whereas if they're in water, I mean, how many people go
Go into water. Yeah,
into
it's true.
water? Yeah,
Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes
more,
sense.
yeah,
yeah,
a little unusual, but who are we to say, right?
yeah. I
That's
mean, it's
right.
all a big mystery to me, right?
To all of us, I think. But
Yeah.
yeah, so speaking of UFOs and aliens and etc. Well, with UFOs, usually there's talks of aliens. And this short that I put up not that long ago, and let's see if I can transition into this one rather
Mhm.
smoothly now. Let me see. Let me see. Are you going to transition into? There we go. Look at that. There's the little guy. So, what did you guys think of this little guy when you saw him?
Well, he
Like
looks like a little guy.
that's in somebody's house because I can see it's like he's coming around a corner of a wall and I can see like a
Mhm.
TV or something in the background. And I can see, is that a TV? I can see tiled floors that he's standing on. But I
Okay.
mean, the picture is, I don't know, I don't think that's, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say. I was gonna say, I don't think it's CGI or AI,
Could it be
but
superimposed onto the
well,
image of?
anytime something
I
is
don't know.
superimposed, you're gonna see a little white outline, um, because the edges will be
Mhm,
frayed, and I don't see that
mhm.
here at all. In fact, it's kind of a dark outline, but I don't know. I don't know.
I be-
It's weird. Is it
I believe
some kid in a
I
suit?
believe sorry, I believe UFOs and aliens exist, but coming into people's homes, I don't know. I personally have never experienced that, nor do I know of anybody who has. So for me, I have no real opinion on
On
that
that
other
one?
than I have to see it to believe it type of
Mhm.
thing.
Mhm. I did do a story about a lady who had it come right into her bedroom. At first she wasn't believing her kids, and because they were
Mhm.
telling her they were seeing a little man, and then she witnessed
Mhm.
it, and then the whole room lit up, and some were
Mm.
coming, like there were multiple, some were in the house and some
Mm.
were outside. I don't remember which story that was, but that was a while ago. I'm going to guess that story was about a year ago that I told it.
Okay.
So yeah, interesting stuff. Some people have had um interesting stuff. Linda says
Mhm.
maybe that's from a movie clip, and it could be. Who knows, right?
Ah,
Uh,
yeah,
Raptor
yeah.
Duck says maybe the orbs are powered by water, i.e., hydrogen and oxygen. I don't
Mm.
know.
Mhm. I don't
Speaking
know.
speaking of orbs, I don't know how many of you guys have Audible, but I just finished a book called God's UFO of Gods. Is that what it was called?
Mhm.
Hold on a
Okay.
second. Let me just verify that. Yeah, UFO of Gods. It was written by,
Uh-huh.
I don't know how many here have heard of Chris Bledsoe.
No.
Well,
No.
he's had a very interesting experience with orbs, UFOs, and a lady that comes to him as a white being with white hair and blue eyes. It's moaning
Mm.
over there. Is that you, Maxie? My dogs are out and about walking around me. Um, yeah, it was a really interesting listen, and I
Mhm.
truly enjoyed it. So if you guys are bored and you don't have anything to read, you may want to pick that one up. It's called UFO of Gods, and it's by Chris Bledsoe, Bledsoe. In fact, I
Mm-mm.
bet you if you
Okay.
were to look him up on YouTube, you're going to see lots of different podcasts
Oh,
that have
okay.
him on. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Has he experienced them himself, or
Has he what?
it, ha, has he experienced these himself, or is he just collecting the stories?
No, no, no. He's witnessed it himself.
Oh,
He,
oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. So he's got an amazing story when you think about it. Where do you begin with him? So as a young kid, he's had, I think, 3 or 4 near life death
Oh,
experiences.
okay. Yeah, yeah.
Um, and he he had, well, how old was he when he first? I'm trying to remember how old he was when he first saw something.
Mm-hmm.
But then later in life, first he gets shot in the back. He's hunting with his buddies. He gets shot in the back, and
Hmm.
by his friend who they were bird watching. I'm going to check the book out. Sounds very interesting. It is very interesting. He actually did a MUFON thing ages ago, but MUFON didn't air his stuff. They did him an injustice, and they made him a
Oh,
laughing stock. They only told half of his story, and as they were telling half of his story, they were questioning him about it as well, which is why have him on if you don't believe him, especially MUFON. But yeah,
yeah. No
so he
kidding.
had a really bad experience, but then later in life, he started meeting other people, and um, so he had this really strange experience when he went fishing with his son, his and 3 of his other buddies. He used to be a builder. He used to build houses, which was a family
Mhm.
business. And anyways, that ended up getting tanked. But sidetracking that, him and his son, with his 2 buddies who went fishing, had this really weird experience where he was walking up a path while they were fishing. And
Uh-huh.
as he was walking up this driveway, he sees what he thinks is the sun crusting over, like just hanging over the roof of this house. And
Mm-hmm.
then as he keeps on walking, he notices, oh, wait a minute, there's 2 of them. There can't be 2 suns. Anyways, there were
Oh,
two
cool.
massive orange orbs hanging over them. So he freaks out. He doesn't know what to do. He turns around and he tries to run back to his buddies. By the time he gets back to his buddy and his son went to look for him. And so he's freaking out. And his buddies tell him, "Where have you been? We've been looking for you for hours." And he goes, "Hours? I've just been up the street. I've only been gone for half an hour." He says, "No, you've been gone for like 4 hours." So then he freaks out because he knows what he's seen. He goes to find his son, and he finds his son ends up seeing these same things, but also a being, which he had seen, which he described almost like that little guy that you guys saw, with the exception of it had a crest on its body, and it was a circle with a triangle within the circle. And in any case, that becomes meaningful later on as you read the book. But so that was his first encounter with these things, and he didn't know what they were. And then he figured, well, if they really wanted to hurt us, like later on, they figured that. But at the time, they were freaking out. He found his son, who ended up being very traumatized because not only did he see these, these fiery orbs, but he also saw the beings. And at 17, he didn't know how to process that. Like what's he going to think? So he ended up having a lot of like childhood sort of, I guess you can say demons as he grew up, his son. But when MUFON took it on, the wife was kind of skeptical because the wife didn't believe him nor his son. She thought they were making it up. And he's like, but we all saw it, not just us two. So-and-so, their other two buddies saw it as well. But in any case...
Where was this? Where did it happen? Where did all of this happen?
So he is from Virginia? Is he from West Virginia? I'm trying to remember what state he's in. But you gotta... I don't know if you have Audible. If you have Audible, you can listen to it. It's really cool. Very interesting story. I ended up, because I had to drive my son up to school today, and I waited for him. I listened to the last 3 hours today before I came home to start this video. So this stream. But very, very interesting. It was very, I was surprised that MUFON, such a big organization, treated somebody that poorly.
Something like that. No
but he goes on to meet a lot of interesting people, including like CIA folks, astronauts, scientists. Like he ends up meeting a ton of people. They end up, doing studies on him because you guys are going to think I'm crazy when I say this. He ends up being able to heal people, but not because of him, through this white lady.
Being.
Yeah, this woman that every so often shows up into his life. But what's this Figgy? He speaks Spanish. Who speaks Spanish?
Not me.
Yeah, I don't know. He's got a bunch of laughing emojis. I'm running low on battery. I will join you again in the week to come. Sorry, Miss Vanka. Not a problem, Figgy. Glad you can make it. Sorry that your battery's running out. But it's very interesting story.
I believe people have experiences with UFO. I don't doubt that at all. It's just that I've never had that experience, and I don't know of anybody who has. So for me, it's kind of, it's like, well, now we know that UFOs existed because the governments have come out and pretty much admitted it. Right?
Yeah. Oh,
so, finally, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's true of Bigfoot. I think the government is aware of this.
And I agree 100%.
And I think they are keeping it secret for now. I'd like to think they're doing it so that they are not hunted down. Okay. Like, rather keep them a myth than to make them a reality, where then that's like an open season on hunting Bigfoot. Okay. Whereas I think if we deny it, it's easier for them to exist. Right. And also I think of when we're out in nature, we're in parks. Okay. And these are government run institutions. Okay. And who wants a bad reputation where there's this thing running around and then nobody wants to go visit your park? So of course you're not going to say anything, right? You're just going to, what are you talking about? What Bigfoot, But if you talk to like in the States, the forest rangers, but if you talk to like up here, people that work in the Ministry of Natural Resources, right? They will tell you stories, okay? And they're pretty awesome, So I do believe that the government keeps it a secret. Will it eventually come out? I don't know. Just like UFO and everything, maybe. But again, UFO, it's not like, anybody can go and hunt down a UFO and kill it and present it as evidence as, you think about a Bigfoot could, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. For me, I'd rather that the governments don't acknowledge them and let's keep it a myth, for their sake, for their own safety and for their own sake. I'd rather they be a myth,
I
and
agree.
I'd rather people laugh at me and not believe me than to make it so commonplace that they're threatened, So that's how I look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing too about the government keeping it to themselves is if they ever admitted that these things live out there and they live in the forest, then they'd have to protect every forest out there, and they're not going to do that because that brings in money, right? So
And then there's resources, right?
yeah, exactly. So it's, all about greed and stuff. So which is a shame, but like you, I rather let the non-believers keep on believing they're not there, and they're probably going to be one of those that are going to have the biggest shock of their life when they find out they're real.
And, I hate when I hear stories on other podcasts where you hear these hunters out there, let's go get a Bigfoot, and then you hear about these things where the military's going in and shooting them down and everything. Like, I just think to myself, why? Why are you doing that? And then
they're a
part
threat.
of me, yeah, they're a threat, but a part of me wants to doesn't want to believe that because I don't know. It's just like, why would you do that? Why would you waste so much, energy in the sense of and cost of putting out the soldiers out there to kill Bigfoot? Are there that many that it's such a threat? I don't think so. I don't think there's a huge population of them. I think they're in pockets, of dense forests and they keep to themselves, et cetera, et cetera. I don't see how they would be such a danger that the military would have to get involved,
Yeah, not sure about that. But Raptor Duck says, I don't need the government to come out and say Bigfoot is real because as a child back in 1972, I saw 2 of them. Raptured?
Exactly.
Start typing.
Exactly.
Send me your story.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'd love to
and I
hear
agree
your
with them.
story.
Yeah, no kidding. I'd love to hear that story.
Biggie says the alien. Oh, the alien speaking Spanish? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Yeah, I don't think the aliens are going to be speaking Spanish, but who knows? And speaking of aliens too, where was it? Did we post no, I don't see it. I'm looking in our chat. Oh, forget that. I was going to mention something about aliens.
What about that clip of the Bigfoot looking through the window on top of the woodpile? And there's that moose just sort of standing nearby.
So
I love that one. I think it's hilarious because it's like
I
there's a
can
moose and the Bigfoot's more interested in peeping into our windows.
The picture is from Mexico. Yes. Oh, yeah. The one that I showed. Yes, you're right. That picture is from Mexico. Yes, and it's of the alien standing there. Oh, that's why you said he's speaking Spanish. I get it. Okay. Sorry, I'm a little bit behind there. But yeah, I was sent this story from, I'm just going to call him D. Okay, just make sure you guys can't see what I'm looking at, because you go see my whole computer. Hold on one second. I need to find that photo. The photo he sent is of a Sasquatch at his camp, standing. Is it in pictures? I think it's in my pictures. It's not there. Hold on. Let me see if I can open this up. Here it is. Let me open that. No, not that. We can close that one. Let's open that up. Close this one too, right? Yeah. We don't need that one, and we don't need that one. Yeah, so this picture here, and let me show you. If you haven't seen that short yet, make sure you go and watch it. Ah, okay, here, let me switch again so you guys can see it, and it is this one here. There we go. Let me just make that a little bit bigger. So here we are, guys. So this is taken, what year was this again? I'm trying to remember the year. Does it say in the photo? Yeah, September 2023. So here we have this subject who you can clearly see two dark eyes right there. And he's got his left arm up, shielding his face. And there's a little window right here that looks into the hunt camp, that looks inside. And right here is a pile of wood and stuff that he has on the side there. But the funny thing about this picture, as Teresa mentioned, is here's this Sasquatch standing there trying to peek in. But here we have a freaking moose right here in the front, just standing here. Like, what's so important? Like, you have to look in the hunt camp when you got food right in front of you. Maybe he already feasted and he doesn't have to feast again, right?
Maybe. But it just struck me so weird. There's this moose, free meal, and he's there peeking into a hunting camp, like, ooh,
Yeah,
I don't know. It just struck me really, really funny. But the fact that those motion sensor lights went on, and he had to cover his
face.
eye.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yes. So Doug had these motion lights on as well as trail cams. So that's why you see this big flash of light here, and you can see the light also hits the rear of the moose. Now this one he blew up, so it's a little bit more distorted. But yeah, you can definitely see the side of the face. You can see two eyeballs right there in his hand. Yeah. Interesting. And a dish. He's got a dish in the side of his head. But
well, you want to watch TV, right?
Of course.
So you get satellite dish.
Maybe that's what he was doing. He could have been watching TV.
He could have been watching TV, and it's like, oh damn, there goes that freaking light again, right?
Yeah.
Right in my eye.
Exactly. But that's an interesting shot, and it looks like a juvenile, because it looks to be the same height as the fellow we saw that was walking on the property. By the way, that fellow you saw, that other picture, that's a trespasser. And that's one of the main reasons why they have those trail cams on. At first, I thought it was D in the photo. And then as I was reading the email better, it said, no, this guy here was caught trespassing.
Yeah.
But,
and he's up around Perry Sound, right? So, that's an hour further north of me. Right?
That's up in Perry Sound.
Yeah. There's a lot of hunting camps and stuff like that. So I could see why they would have like a trail cam and, the lights going on and stuff like that. Because, someone's trespassing into someone else's hunting territory, right?
Yeah, I think what most people don't realize about where they live necessarily is the amount of forest that's actually around them. Me being from the city, always living in the city, you don't really think about what could be happening in the forests further north of you, right? And you don't even seem to think about the the vastness of it all until you
Yeah.
go on Google Maps. When you go on Google
Yeah.
Maps and you see an
Yeah.
aerial shot of
Yeah.
anywhere, Ontario,
That's what we do.
Michigan, or New
We do
York,
those shots, and it's like, holy smokes! Like you don't realize that's a large swath of like forest. You
yeah,
know?
yeah. And Ontario has a lot of water. There's a lot of
Yeah.
lakes, little lakes of
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
sizes, marshes. It's just
Yeah.
littered. It's littered with
Yeah.
greenery and water everywhere.
Well,
So,
they say Canada has more trees than people and more water than land. So.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
now when you zoom down into like, when we're doing Google Earth searches looking for Bigfoot areas, right?
yeah,
You realize, holy smokes, there's like so many of these little lakes and ponds and things that have no name
yeah,
even, it's just
exactly.
like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and there's
crazy.
there's no like trails or anything to get in there. And that's the other thing of what Dee said about his camp. He's like, it's not like his camp is off of a main road or anything. He's got to go way off road to get in there.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm guessing that guy was hunting and just happened to stumble across his property because that guy was wearing camo in that picture.
yeah, probably, more than likely.
But
Do
yeah,
you
if
remember that? Sorry,
one
I
more
was
one
gonna,
more train of thought, and then you can say what you wanted to say. I was just going to say, if you ever question that there could be, these large, half human, whatever you want to
yeah,
call them, as I like to call them, forest people living out in the
yeah,
forest, open up Google Maps and take a look at your neighborhood and see
yeah,
see
exactly.
what it's like,
Yeah.
because we
Yeah,
look at Ontario and it's nothing but green and water, green and water.
yeah,
I know Michigan
yeah,
is the same, green and water.
yeah,
I
yeah.
know the States has a lot of like farm area, but you also have a lot of forest. When I drove through the Virginias, oh my God, because I drove from Toronto one year with my son and my
Uh-huh.
dog at the time down to Florida, and we cut through the mountain pass, which went
Yeah,
through
yeah,
Virginia and West Virginia and the Carolinas, and then you go
yeah.
down. Oh my God, you don't see any homes. All you see are tree
Forest.
canopies.
Yeah,
That's all
yeah,
you see everywhere. The only thing that
yeah.
spooked me out was we were in some small mountain town. I can't remember what it is, what it was called, but we were driving and you see trees and a rock cliff, right? Because you're driving on a mountain pass, and
Yeah.
off in this nothing but treed area, you see this white cross, and that freaking it freaked me out because I'm thinking, what's the white cross doing over there? Like you don't see a town. There's no town down
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So, like, what's going on with that? Is it Ku Klux Klan type thing happening out in the
Yeah.
Virginias?
I don't know.
Who knows,
I
right?
don't know.
But
Yeah.
anyways, Teresa, you wanted to say something.
No, I forgot. No, what I was going to say is just when we do our Google Maps and seeing all these different areas, and we actually like when we look at them, we determine whether this is like Bigfoot country. Like, oh well, look at the topography, right? Like, the water ratio as opposed to land, and how high it is, and what would make this hospitable to a Bigfoot, right? Like we get right into it. I just kind of get a kick out of that kind of story.
Yeah,
Um,
and I tend to think that Jim knows more about Ontario than we do.
Oh my God,
Oh,
yeah. It's like Jim finds all these things. I'm like, where's that, Jim? And he goes, in Ontario. I'm like, really? He
yeah.
finds
Whenever I
it.
listen to a story or anything over there, I do go on Google Maps and I'll like look up the area or yeah, but it is amazing countryside you got over there. There's that much fresh water, and I think that Bigfoot, Sasquatch, they're always going to be near water.
Yeah,
So
I
another
think they,
thing I think is modern humans. We don't venture off the path. I mean, there's that much bush that we just don't even walk into. Like
yeah,
no one does, other than maybe a hunter or something like that. There's so much area, even here in Australia, where I could be, and no one's ever going to go in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. Why would you
Yeah.
get out of your car and then try to walk across a swamp and bushwhack it
God,
when
no.
there's a trail,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Most people are going to
yeah,
stick to the
right.
trails. So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
and the other thing about Ontario too is we have a lot of cave systems, and I think that has to do with the Canadian Shield,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know. So,
Yeah. No, and that's the other thing too, right? There's a lot of caves. There's a lot of well, look at Blue Mountain area, Collingwood. For years, there's been a Bigfoot family there since even the 60s and the 70s because people had written in stories about the monkeys that live in the forest there. And I remember reading this and I was laughing to myself. I'm like, what monkeys? What are you guys talking about? But it's not until, now getting into Bigfoot, it's like, oh my God, you mean like Bigfoot has existed there too? It's, I don't know. Now I open my eyes, to all of this. And I think it was because of my own experience, but it was more, I think what really kicked it off for me was that as a school bus driver and that morning, with like what was it, -20, -22, with wind chill -28, and it's freezing cold and the roads are solid ice, and I'm so concentrating on the road, and there's this Bigfoot, right? And because someone said, oh, it's probably a guy in a ghillie suit, and I go, what guy would go out there in a ghillie suit in the middle of frickin' February at -20 at 7 in the morning? And I go, and who's hunting what? There's no hunting at that time of year. There's no license to be able to hunt anything at that time of the year, right? So, when you think about
hunting
things
season
like
here
that,
is October, November, right?
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And then spring, then there's fishing and everything. So really, that's kind of like what really got me sparked into the whole Bigfoot community and getting into it and reading and whatever. And then it's like I said, until I read more about other people's experiences and how a juvenile Bigfoot acts as opposed to an adult. It totally made sense to what I saw, because again, living here, it's like, nah, that just happens out in BC, but what person is going to go and don a monkey outfit, right? Just to scare you in the middle of the night in a camping ground? Like, I don't think so, or
Yeah.
maybe, whatever. But it just, that's kind of like what sparked me, into exploring it more. And then realizing, like, holy smokes, yeah, I'm surrounded by a lot of bush up here, and you don't realize that. There's so much other stuff up here. That's the other thing, like Wendigo, again, a lot of native people that live around here and the stories that they have that they share with everything. It kind of makes you think, I'm not walking in those woods ever again.
Well, that's the thing, eh? I camped a ton, I hiked a ton, but since I have, I've still camped, I still hike, but differently. And when I
Yeah,
s-
yeah,
and when I say
yeah.
differently, I'm much more aware. I remember before knowing about these forest
Uh-huh,
people living in Ontario, I didn't really pay that much attention. I did and I didn't pay much attention
uh-huh.
to my surroundings, You
No,
hike, you talk, you do
yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
Now,
yeah.
my eyes are
Now it's a
everywhere.
different
I'm
story.
spotting.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I'm looking for any signs. And
yeah.
I remember like my experience was at this favorite trail that I was telling you guys about. I
Mm-hmm,
was telling my niece and his then wife to be how there's a lot of arches and tree breaks and
mm-hmm,
X's up in this trail that I go to. So they said, okay, yeah, yeah. they used to call me the crazy aunt, right? The crazy aunt that believes in Bigfoot.
You too, right?
Yeah, and so every time we had like Easter, Christmas, Thanksgiving, I would be, hey, Sovanka, how's it going with Bigfoot? You know what I mean? Like that sort of thing. But in any
Yeah,
case,
yeah.
they said one day, hey, we want to go on this go on a
Yeah.
hike with you, your favorite spot. So we did. So we went. For whatever reason, my son wasn't with me, so I had everything. I had my two dogs, I had them on leashes, I had two cameras, one was on like a tripod, and I'm walking around and I'm just swamped. I can't manage anything because of the two dogs. So it's a beautiful hike because you start off going up the Canadian Shield,
Yeah.
and so you got to really take it easy to climb up because it's slippery. We went in May. So the trees, there was still no leaves on the trees. Um, but the bush was so thick that you couldn't, even though there's no leaves, you couldn't see clearly through
Yeah.
anything. But we stayed
Yeah.
on the path. Well, we climb up and the dogs are still on their leads, and we get to this one area that's a vista. It's beautiful. You stand there, they have it, they've got like a wooden fence there, and you can actually see down into the valley. And there's a creek that flows through there, and across is the other side of the valley, and it's very pretty, very beautiful. I've never taken the hike that goes down to the creek itself. I've always taken two trails out of the six. I think there's six trails there. I've only ever taken two. In any case, so as they're standing there admiring the surroundings, I hear whoop. I look. I turned right away. I looked at them. They didn't hear it. And my one dog starts to whine. Max starts whining. And so I'm looking to see what the heck is that, right? I'm a
Yeah.
whoop.
Dogs will always give it away.
Now, none of my cameras or anything were on because there was no way I could manage anything. So I said, once they finished, I handed one of the cameras to my nephew's wife to be and said, Ola, can you, take some shots and stuff? And then we continue on our hike. And like I said, we're on the Canadian Shield. So you're on rock. You're on
Yeah.
basically, I think it's granite, right? The Canadian Shield is it granite? That's the,
It's granite, it's quartz, it's a mix of, but it's hard
it's
rock.
hard
It's
rock.
definitely,
And
yeah.
then every so often you come across like dirt, right? So, but the part that we were on at the moment was just the stone, the big, massive
Yeah.
uh,
They're
cliff.
basically rock outcrops, right? Because
Yeah,
this
exactly.
is where there used to be an ancient mountain range.
Hmm.
And,
And
over the,
the ice sort of
yeah,
dug everything out and trenched out all the
yeah,
dirt. So that's why you're
yeah.
seeing all of that. But any case, so we're walking and Ola goes, Vanka, look. And I'm like, what? And she sees a toe print. There's a toe print in the dirt between the two pieces of rock, like on the ground. And she says to me, are you going to take a picture? And I'm like, no. And I'm like, but today, I'm like, why wouldn't I take a picture of that? It doesn't make any sense. And then I'll explain that part
Yeah.
to you later. Never took a picture of it. So we keep on walking and we're talking, and I'm showing them all the tree breaks and the arches, and they're like, ooh, ah, okay, ooh, ah, right? They're looking at all that.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
we come to this section that you start to go down into like I'm going to say it's like a bowl.
Okay.
And down in this bowl area is a pond. And they've built a boardwalk that goes up and around the pond. Now, when I heard
Right.
that whoop came
Yeah.
from the pond direction. Because what we did is we did a loop. Like when we're
Okay.
walking, the pond was to our left, and we kept on walking for another kilometer or so, and then you turn. I think that trail in total is 2.5 kilometers, like that loop.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so when we got to the pond area, this area kind of, I don't know, you get it's a different feeling because you're down in this area and you can see that there's some caves here and there,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And on one side is like a big rock outcrop, and above it are trees and stuff. And then behind you, they have a new growth of pine trees. So it's really dark. That area is always dark because of those pine trees. But
Yeah.
Calvin and I are standing on a boardwalk, and we're just looking at the ducks and the stuff. And then all of a sudden, guess what we hear? Whoop!
Another whoop.
Another whoop. And he looks at me, and I look at him, and I said, "Did you hear that?" And he says, "Yes, I heard that." And I said, "Well, Calvin, I heard that when you guys were looking at the viewpoint there. Well, I heard a whoop, but I didn't want to tell you guys because I knew you were going to say, 'Oh yeah, it's crazy, Auntie
Yeah.
Vanka,' all that stuff, right?"
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I held it to myself. And
Yeah.
so we turn around to go and tell Ola what was happening. And then all of a sudden we hear this like a stone being thrown against a tree, which then made us all turn around and look in another direction. Right? And we're like, what is going on? And you got to remember, nothing has bloomed yet. There's no nuts on a tree that's going to fall. So it had to have been something that was thrown. And we look around, and we're in a bowl. Okay, you're in like a bowl effect. And there's these rock outcrops everywhere. And above us is like, walking area, right? So I don't know if they were above us, what was going on. But what I thought of later, and I'll tell you why I thought of this, was I thought maybe there was a young one in the area. Young ones always give them away, right? They always have to do something to make sure the young ones aren't seen. So I thought maybe there was a young one, and because Calvin and I were looking in a certain direction, they were afraid that we were going to see them, so they whooped to get our attention. And then as we turned, they threw a stone to get our attention again, right? That way they can whisk it away, and we wouldn't have a clue. So we ended up walking away, and they've never teased me ever since that. I don't get any criticism from anybody.
Yeah, because they finally experienced it for themselves to a degree.
To a degree, but still. And I've had 2 experiences where we've seen footprints, and I've never taken a picture of it, ever.
That's crazy. Why wouldn't you, Vanka?
Because I think I was zapped. Have you heard of being zapped? Where they convince you think it's you, but it's them telling you not to take a picture? Like it's not a big deal, don't take a picture? Because when I got home, I'm like, why didn't I take a picture? Right?
Yeah.
And the same thing happened with my friend and I, and we both had cameras, and we were at Mono Cliff. Is it a provincial park? No,
Mono Hill?
No, Mono Cliff.
Near Orangeville?
Yeah, it's Mono Cliff. Mono Cliff, I think it's a conservation area. Beautiful hike. Again, they have many different tours, but we went during COVID, and it was awful. And the reason I say it was awful is because there was people everywhere. It was like you were walking in a mall. So my friend and I decided to go on a off-beaten path. There in front of us is a footprint about 11 feet long, and then it had slid because I guess at one point it must have been wet, but when we were there, it was dry. So you can see this one foot. Why is it always 1 foot? I don't get it. You see 1 foot that's slid down this like this hillside that we were just about to climb up. And do you think she took a picture or I took a picture?
No.
It does not make sense. It does not make sense.
I have a theory. Okay, so here's my theory. You know how we talk about portals and things like that, and I said that they can disappear because of their vibration and stuff like that? Maybe that's what they do. When they know that we're somehow close near them, they are quick to shift into that energy, right?
Maybe, yeah.
And therefore you only see 1 foot, and the other one's already in that other realm or other, dimension, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Right? What do you think, Jim?
Not sure.
Yeah, I'm
No.
with you, Jim. I'm not sure either.
I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. That's what
Yeah.
I'm kind of putting out there, maybe that's what that is. I don't know. Or maybe, hey, maybe then, because again, how wide is their stride? Okay. So if you think they may put 1 foot here, we're so busy used to looking for another footprint
That's
close
close.
by,
Yeah.
where they have such a stretch in their stride that it would not be anywhere near that. And if it was, it's probably on some dry part where they've already got, clearly they were able to get a
A
sure
better
foot.
grip. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
better grip
Or on
and,
a
not
rock
within.
or something, because
Yeah,
again, the places that I hike is along the Bruce Peninsula, and the Bruce
yeah, yeah,
Peninsula has a lot of Canadian shield, right? So,
yeah. Lots of rock and stuff like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, I mean, it's crazy. But mostly when
Mhm.
people see a footprint, it's usually one. Now, there was a
Yeah.
gentleman that sent me, and I never did anything with it. I have
Uh-huh.
a picture of a footprint in snow, and this footprint,
Uh-huh.
you were talking about the distance. It's
Yes.
it's a huge distance apart from each other, and it's a
Yeah.
single line. It's not the footprint isn't 1, 2, 1, 2. It's
Hmm.
1, 2, like that. So
Hmm.
their movement,
Hmm.
it would appear that whatever did this, their hips would be different than ours in the sense that it can
Yeah.
kind of switch and step 1 foot. Like, you know how when you're drunk, a cop will say to you, "Hey, let's do this."
Yeah. Yeah.
Not that I've ever
Go
been
ahead,
drunk
walk the
and pulled
line.
over by a cop. I'm just saying I've watched TV like all the rest of you guys. So when you see them asking them do the sobriety
Uh-huh.
test, and they have to
Yeah.
walk a
Yeah.
straight line, well, that's
Yeah.
that's exactly what a Sasquatch's footprints look
Uh-huh.
like. They're in a straight
Yeah.
line. They're not like ours where we
Yeah.
step 1 foot beside each other and walk up.
Because of our hips and that. Did you ever see that footage from Russia, where that entire Russian family see these footprints in the snow? They actually they went to this part of land, like I think they were buying like a piece of land or something like this, and they were on their property and they noticed this footprint and it went exactly like you said, 1 foot in front of the other and distance apart. And they were like, what is this? Right? And they sort of started following it. And then clearly they must have come into like contact or been close to it because they're hoofing it back and they're running and they're speaking in Russian and the camera at that point all you see is movement of hands to the snow, right? They're
Hmm.
running. Okay.
Yeah,
But
those were
yeah,
the kids. Yeah, I remember seeing the kids.
yeah,
So
yeah.
the
So
parents were there because they were buying a home?
I heard that they were buying like land or, or they were thinking of buying land or building a house or I don't know what it was. But yeah, they were sort of like on this property. Why else would they be there type of thing, right? But anyway, I just found it very interesting. I find the clips from other countries, like from Russia and that, they seem to be more like here, everybody complains about, oh yeah, sure, that's but Bigfoot because it's not blurry, right? Well, I mean, I think if you're being chased or you're that close, you're not going to stand there. Well, let me see if I can focus this better. You're going to hoof it, right?
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
find, like the clips from Russia, like if you see them, because these people are standing there going, what the hell is that? And they're not afraid, like they're not turning immediately and running. They're sort of like, what the hell is that? They have more of a sense of wonderment and really curious, you
Yeah,
know?
that
And they
reminds me
capture
that
they
re
capture it
yeah,
really well.
I think I have three best Russian Bigfoot videos.
Oh, do
And
you? Okay.
yeah, and one of them is of the son and father. I think the mother's there as well, but you hear the son and the father speaking in their language, and you,
Mm-hmm.
you see this this forest person running and jumping, and when he jumps, his arms are so long it looks surreal. And he
Wow.
moves so fast. Yeah, like I should be able to
Yeah.
show you guys.
Yeah.
Let me see. Let me see if I
Yeah.
can bring that
Yeah,
up
I think
for
I've
you.
watched that. And it makes sense that there would be Sasquatch in Russia to me with that. Back in the last ice age, if people migrated through the Bering Sea or the land bridge,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Sasquatch would have done the same thing.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Let me see
Well,
if I
what's
can.
that famous thing? The Dyatlov Pass with Bigfoot being captured on the film of
Yeah,
one of the students, right?
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah, that was an interesting documentary looking at that.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Where is this clip? I have it in my folders. I mean, I can go and just show you the video from my channel, but I should have that clip separate
Mm-hmm.
right here somewhere, but I don't see it. Okay, let's just go to the channel and look
Mm-hmm.
this up for you guys. So come over here, go to moi, open up. Let's go to, yes, I'm live. This is weird,
Mm-hmm.
showing the live. Okay, so best Sasquatch, go to videos. Go by view. Can I go by views? Yeah, go by popular because it should be the third most. Oh, really?
What? What really?
It's not the third. It's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's the sixth most watched video. I thought it was going to be um, less than that. Okay, let me switch you guys over so you can see the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Let me skip this ad. Let's go big. Okay, and go to here. All right, let's move forward. This first one here is a family taking a drive, and
Mm-hmm.
this thing here just starts to approach them. What? What just happened here? It changed. It's showing something totally different. What is going on here? Wasn't
It
I
didn't show
just
you the Russian one?
No, we moved to something to do with go back. Thank you. What was that? I'm on my video and then it goes to this Shark Week. Oh, I see
It's
why.
Bigfoot. He's interfering with our podcast.
Exactly. Here's number 3. And
He knows we're talking about him.
this is the one where they spot this thing outside. The video is actually going to play in a minute. But
Okay.
again, look at the size of this thing. There's no neck, long arms,
Mm-hmm.
massive body, and they were just
Mm-hmm.
driving. I think it was like a Sunday stroll they were doing, you know? Let me get to the
Mm-hmm.
video part so you guys can see it actually. Okay, here we go. Here's the actual video part. So she's filming out
Mm-hmm.
the. Hold on. There we go. There it is. And not much. I mean, she's scared, obviously, but is this the
Mm-hmm.
one where the dad? Oh no, this is the one where the two. This is a funny one. I think this is funny. It's winter time,
Okay.
and there's two dudes driving along. Here, let me just skip to the video part. There it goes. Two dudes driving along in the snow, and out right in front of them runs this thing.
And they swear in
Well, there,
Russian, I
see there,
think.
there it is, right
Russian.
there, right in front of them, just runs.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you guys can take a look at that on your own. But here's the one I'm talking about, the father and son. Look at this. Look at the arm. So this is the subject matter right here. That right there is all one side of an arm. And so let me play the video because I'm just talking at this point. And here it goes. So they're watching this thing running through the trees. They can hear it. And then here it comes. It's going to come out. They're pointing. It's right behind a pine tree right now. There it goes. Boom. It's running. And then it comes out behind this tree. And look at the arms. Oh, my God.
I know. Crazy, eh?
That is just... And they're just standing there, like you said, they're standing there filming. However, the quality of the camera they had obviously wasn't the best because it was very pixelated to begin with. And any time you start to, now we're going into a story. Anytime you start to enlarge, like zoom in on something, you're going to lose the picture even more. It's going to become more and more pixelated, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Have you seen the latest one with supposedly the Bigfoot sitting in a forest and looking at some branch or something like that? It's the latest one that's going around, and everybody's saying that it's a Bigfoot in, that there's that Bigfoot costume that's kind of reddish and it's got like more of a monkey face and blah blah blah. I forget what they call that costume, but it's the latest one of Bigfoot. I just saw it today or yesterday or the other day or something, and there he is sitting there in the forest, and the guy captures it on film, and it's kind of like just sitting there.
Is that Timber Giant?
I don't know.
Because I did that one I did that one as well. So Timber Giant is, I mentioned him earlier on. I have a video of, he calls it a Big Red or something. So he's out. So what Timber Giant does, again, he's out in Ontario. I think I know the area he's in, but I'm not 100% sure. But he goes out on this trail that he used to bike with his son, BMX bikes. And in any case,
he's the one by Cobra right? Is that Timber Giant?
I think that's where he is, but I'm not 100% sure. But in any case, so he's out there with his son, and his son sees a Bigfoot one time. He doesn't see it. His son sees it, and that's how he gets started. But this one time, he's out walking, so he starts walking all over the place, right?
Oh, yes, that one.
I saw it today. No, it's Dan from South Carolina. I don't know that one. Dan who? Do we know Dan who? Anyways, Timber Giant has one too where there's an orange forest person sitting down. Thinker Thunker did a breakdown of it. And so he's sitting down and you can hear whack, 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 and you don't know what's going on. And he's zooming in and he's looking at himself, like, you know how they turn the camera on themselves? Then he turns the camera back, but anytime you zoom in and you're trying to find a subject, they disappear because the more you zoom in, the smaller your window is to zoom in on the subject itself. So it takes him a while to find it. Finally finds it again. He's in on it. Then he decides he's going to hit a tree with a branch. So he hits the tree with a branch, and then it gets up and walks away. And he catches part of it getting a section of it when it gets up and walks away. When Thinker Thunker did a breakdown of it, he said it looked like it had a baby on its back and neck area. And so he shows you why he thinks that, and then shows you the breakdown of like branches moving, which is probably the kid playing with the branch when the mother or father, whichever one was sitting there. When I took a look at that video, I kept on looking over and over and over again. In the very end, you see a forest person standing there, and then as he pans across, it starts to move away. Really weird. So he captured something, but if he hadn't knocked on the tree, he probably would have gotten closer. And again, the reason the mom probably never heard is she's probably concentrating on her child, and the kid's playing around. right? And
She was breaking nuts with rocks, right?
Yeah, she was breaking nuts. When he walks up, you can see smashed nuts. You know, and he picks up the stone and everything. He feels the log it was sitting on and says it's warm. All of that stuff. Yeah, that's Thinker Thunker's video. Not Thinker Thunker. Sorry, Timber Giant Bigfoot.
Okay.
So you said Linda says no. This one, it's Dan. Dan from South Dakota.
It's a recent one. Yeah, it's just
it only went up yesterday or so. It was the first time I've seen it, and it's just been uploaded.
Yeah, it's just been uploaded, and it's clear as day. You could see this thing sitting there, right? And then there's people like, oh, it is, and then other people are going, no, it's that costume of Bigfoot.
Yeah.
That's all the rage, you know. If somebody wants to sort of make fun of a Bigfoot believer, they have this costume and they do all these little memes with. But I don't know. You have to see this one, Banka.
Yeah,
I don't know where I saw.
I haven't seen it, so I'm looking it up right now to see. Linda says it's
You know the one, Jim, right?
Dan.
You saw it. Wasn't the guy in West Virginia or something?
This one here, Bigfoot sitting Tigerville, South Carolina.
That's it, probably South Carolina.
That's 8 years ago.
No.
Let me see.
It's recent. No.
Hold on. Let me see this. Let me see. Okay, so this, I don't know if it's this one. I'm gonna play this, Linda. I know, Linda, you saw it. Let me play this, and then you can tell me whether this is the one or not.
I can't see it.
Yeah, no, I'm asking Linda to see if this is the one. I don't see anything right now. I just see a forest. And then I see the camera shaking a lot because it looks like they're running. Are they running? And then I see something walking away. But I don't see it.
This one, it's sitting down and they just focus in on it, and it's like it's playing with something in its hands, and then it looks at the camera.
That's the one, Jim. You saw it, right?
Yeah. And also, I don't know what to think about it. It looks too good to be true.
You think it's true?
It could be.
I'm trying to see.
But then that's just my opinion. I mightn't be right at all.
Let me see. Latest Bigfoot sitting down video. Let's see what comes up. I'm going to Google it. Bigfoot sighting in Colorado. Is that the silly ABC News Danny News spoke? Oh, no, not this. This one? This one is fake, if this is the one you're talking about. This is the fakest thing I've ever seen. Is it the Colorado one? I thought you said no. I think Linda said South Dakota.
I thought it was West Virginia. I don't know.
Okay, so here I'm gonna play this. Oh my God! Why are you doing this? Someone's having a lot of fun with this. Can we just see the clip? Show me the clip. Yeah, see, it goes and it sits down and it's just staring at the camera. Yeah, if it's this one, that's a person in a suit. You can see how the pants flails at the very bottom. It's not skin tight.
No.
That can't be
this one is in the forest already sitting, and all you see is the top half of his arm with a branch, as if it's almost fanning itself, and not really. It doesn't even know it's been caught on film, and then all of a sudden, right at the end, it turns and it looks.
So that's not it then. Oklahoma man sees Bigfoot goes viral. 241003. Maybe it's this one. Okay, I think I found it. This was a TikTok, right? You guys saw it on TikTok?
No,
Is
on
that it?
YouTube.
You saw it on
I
YouTube?
thought it was on YouTube, like a YouTube short or something.
Okay, well, this one's doing exactly what you said. Here, let me pause this for a second.
Okay.
And let me make that bigger, and then let me switch this back to here. Okay, so the guy runs away. Let's take a look. So he's sitting, leaning against a tree, and he's got a
Yes.
branch, and he's playing with his face, and then he looks over.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's not real. That's a
No?
costume.
Yeah, I don't think
No,
it's real.
that's not
Okay.
real.
Yeah.
Because the costume, and that's when people in the comments were talking about, that's that costume on whatever.
Yeah,
And I
that
said,
Yeah.
oh,
you
okay.
know what that looks like? Have you guys
What?
ever seen Sunny Vader?
No.
Okay, Sunny Vader does a lot of fake YouTube stuff where he puts on a costume. That's what it
Okay.
reminds me of.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think that one's real. I hate to say it. And you know what? That is so sad because that just diminishes all the true accounts of people
Yeah.
seeing these
Yeah,
things.
that's right.
You know?
All the
The
fakers
thing
out
that
there.
got me with his head, like the forehead,
Hmm.
you kind of thought to yourself, well, that's odd.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's sad, you know? Like why do that? I don't know. I guess they're doing it for views and for clicks because this one here was
Yeah.
on TikTok, right? So obviously there's probably the same thing being put onto YouTube and
Mm-hmm.
that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But
And we won't
anyways,
mention the other guy in Ontario that likes to fake all the stuff.
who's that? Oh yeah. No, let's
Mm,
let's not bring up
let's
that
not
name.
go there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll just leave.
But
Well,
yeah, there's people that like to do stuff like that, and they do
yeah.
it for the fame,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll leave that one alone.
Mm-hmm.
But it is 10:15. So guys, I think do you guys have any questions for any of us? I know time just seems to fly by. For us, it's normal because we
Oh God, yeah, this is like another Monday.
exactly. We get together and chat all the time, so it's normal
Yeah.
for us. And because I didn't have, a guest speaker lined up, I thought, why not introduce some of the OC members to you
Mhm.
guys and get their point of view. So
And
yeah.
also to solicit more members. This is fun. Like, people can
Yeah, it
just
is.
join in and we get to chat and get to know each other and stuff like that. And we talk about the most bizarre things, right?
Mm.
That's right.
Yes, my above question. Can you confirm sighting of Bigfoot being seen along the mid-Canada line and the Pine Tree line?
What does that mean? Sorry. I don't know what that means.
I guess there was a sighting along mid-Canada line. What do you mean by mid-Canada line?
Yeah, I've never heard that before. Do you mean the border?
I don't know. And Pine Tree line? The other
Well, timber
questions?
ends around the Arctic, and even there, it's,
The mid-Canada line.
yeah.
Mid-Canada line. I'm just gonna see what pops up when I type in
Yeah,
mid-Canada line. Mid-Canada line. The Mid-Canada line, also known as the McGill Fence, was a line of radar station running east-west across mid-Canada used to provide. Is that what you're referring to? I don't think so.
I've never heard of a mid-Canada line with radar.
Oh no. Okay, hold on, because it's listen to this. It says
Okay.
It says that also known as the McGill Fence, was a line of radar stations running east to west across the middle of Canada, used to provide early warnings of a Soviet bomber attack on North America. It was built to supplement the Pine Tree Line, whatever that is, which is located further south. I guess it's another set of radar systems. The majority of the Mid-Canada Line stations were used only briefly from the late 1950s to the mid-1960s as the attack threat changed from bombers to ICBMs. Can I confirm that? It's the first I've heard of it, but obviously it is something that exists because yeah, there it is.
Wow.
I enjoyed hearing.
Here we are, Canadians, and we don't know anything about it.
I enjoyed hearing and texting with you all. Loved your encounters. Thank you so much for joining, Linda. We truly appreciate you being here. And yeah, I'm gonna start to have more live streams and have guests lined up and stuff like that. So yeah. Yes, there was also the Dew line. So you want to know if that's real? It looks like it is, but I don't know much about it. Rapture Duck.
I don't know if there's any sightings accordingly to that. You know, there's a map. Remember we looked at that once? There's a map that shows all the sightings in Ontario, like I mean all over Canada and North America, right? But we went to specifically Ontario.
Yeah.
Does it line up with one of these things? The
I don't
Canada
know.
line?
I guess, guys, we have something else we're doing on Monday.
Yeah. And that's a job for you, Jim, because you're
I'll be looking into it.
Ontario.
Yeah, we got to check out this. Well, this is mid-Canada, so he's going to be venturing outside of Ontario. But yeah, we'll have to learn more about this mid-Canada line. Interesting. Thanks for bringing to us our attention, Rapture Duck. Are you a hunter, by the way, with that name, Rapture Duck? Just curious.
Yeah, I would think so. I love the moniker.
Yeah, exactly. Those were 3 lines of radar installation. This is the first I'm hearing of it, but yeah, it appears to be an actual thing. And can I confirm sightings along there? Well, I have heard that where there's installations of stuff, there's usually Bigfoot sightings. I've heard a lot of sightings happening around military camps, anywhere where there's missiles. So if this is a radar station, exactly, stuff like that.
Plants and stuff.
Yeah, so I don't doubt it, but now I'll have to look into it to see if I can find any sightings along these specific 3 points that you just mentioned. What's it called again? It's called the Mid-Canada
line and the Pine Tree line?
No, Mid-Canada line is one. The Pine Tree line is another. And then there's a third. Pine Tree line. And these are radar installations.
Cool. Now I've got homework tonight and take a look and see what that is.
See what we can find out, eh? Yeah, we'll definitely look it up.
Jim will find it.
If there is something, I'll put it up either as a short or as a story. And yeah. No, I don't hunt. I got the name from a bomber on the Doodle raid on Japan.
Oh yeah.
Oh, cool. Well, yeah. So obviously he served. And yeah, so he got the name from a bomber on the Doodle raid on Japan. Wow, okay.
Oh, wow.
Wow, well, thank you for your service.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Any other questions while we wrap it up for today? And you two can stay on for a little bit longer while we wrap up this chat.
Sure.
Well, thank you guys for coming out. Don't forget to check out the membership program. I think you guys would enjoy it. You'd be,
Absolutely
chatting.
you would.
You'd be
Yeah.
chatting with us all the time.
Yeah.
I'm not
Going
that.
down deep ends and into the abyss, and before you know it, it's midnight.
My dog came to say hello to you guys. I'm not that old, he says. We know we're probably in the same boat. What are you doing, Papa? Okay, I know. Kisses. Yeah. Can you get down, please? I'm gonna end the stream. Get down for me. Okay. Thank you. All right. So, guys, thanks for joining and enjoy the outro. Say bye-bye, Teresa and Jim.
Bye.
Yeah,
All
bye
right.
everyone.
Bye.
Thanks for
Thanks for
joining.
joining. Yeah.